Alright, Shalom. It's your brother Kushab coming back at you with another lesson. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth and rule well. And peace, blessings, and salutations be unto those who elect, as well as those that believe in the gospel and may endure unto the end, Lord willing. Alright, and particular title of this lesson I got today is the Theocracy of Yahweh Shai, of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, alright? Or, something around those those words or something like that, and I just want to get into, how Yahweh Shai will establish the kingdom, alright? And actually those that are under Yahweh Shai will judge the kingdom as well, alright? So I'm gonna start off with the definition of this word theocracy, right? And just something, just watching the brothers last night, going into the Lord restoring our judges as the first, all right? And it's kind of, just a little lamb back off of that, but ultimately, you have to understand, with the rule of Yahweh Shai, there's going to have to be, something we say all the time, a governing body, all right? The elect men, okay, they'll be the ones that's actually, judging the earth, calling the shots, man, all right, through a righteous order, all right, under Yahweh Shai, all right. But let's start off with this word theocracy, all right. In the online etymology, it says a form of government in which the Most High is recognized as the supreme ruler, all right, which, we understand that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, all right, he exists, all right, he is to be in the name or coming in the name of he delivers or he saves. So through Yahweh Shai, all right, being recognized as the supreme ruler, by default, it's going to be the kingdom of Yahweh, all right. We know he's the most high God, right, but everything will be ruled by whom? His son, all right, the heir to the throne, all right, the one who's sitting at his right hand currently, right? But it says a form of government in which God is recognized as a supreme ruler, and his laws from the statute book, usually as administered by a priestly order, also a state so governed, okay? Jump down, it says to the Latinized form of later Greek Theocracia, Josephus, etymologically, the rule of God, a rule or regime or strength, right? Now, when you go down to the second paragraph, it says, originally in reference to the sacerdotal government of Israel before the rise of kings. You see that? Before the rise of, different kings, different kingdoms, right? This theocracy was of who? Of the Israelites, man. It says the meaning priestly or religious body wielding political and civil power, all right? And that's what Yahweh Shai is coming to establish, all right? When he says, that the government is going to be upon his shoulders, right? As we're getting ready to get in Isaiah, the 9th chapter, this is what it's talking about, all right? Political and civil power, all right? And actually, there's more power to it than that, when we get into the word exousia, all right? But Yahweh Shai is going to share all of those things with us, all right? That's why, we'll be considered joint heirs, all right? We're going to get the same power that he's going to have. It might not be on the same level, of course, but I mean, he's the Lord for, come on, some things don't, goes without saying, right? But we're still going to have that same, like power, all right? Matter of fact, let's go to 1 John chapter 3 and verse 2, right? And I just want to make a quick point. It says, beloved, now are we the sons of Yahweh, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is, you see? So we know that we're going to be like Yahushua, right? And we know that when we see him crack them clouds, you know, for those that are alive and remain, you know, that when he appears, and we automatically know, you know, when we see him traveling in the greatness of his strength, all right, it says, I will take vengeance, I will not meet thee as a man, right? Coming back with that spiritual angelic force, you know, seeing him in his fullness, right? And we're going to be, you know, like Yahushua, right? It also tells you in Zephaniah, all right, or Zechariah, one of them, you know, that the most feeble man among us shall be, you know, as God, man, right? So that just shows you the power, all right, the elect men will have in that day, all right? But it all starts under who? Yahushua, man, you know? So let's go to Isaiah, the 9th chapter, all right, in verse 6, it says, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. All right. Verse 7, of the increase of his government, of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. All right. Excuse me. You know, it says of the increase of his government, right? When you go into that word govern, it means to control. And the word meant, it goes back to your mind, all right? When you break down the etymology of the word, okay? So of Yahushua's government, he's going to do what? Control the people, all right? Govern the people, all right? And by default, you know, we understand that the Lord is not the author of confusion, all right? And he wants everything done decently and in order. So the Lord is going to set up those same men, as it says in Amos, the 9th chapter, the tabernacle of David, all right? He's going to set up that righteous order, right, to establish his government, man, his kingdom. You know, when you look at all these different governments in the world now, you know, it's always a order, a chain of command. You know, everyone has a different role to play, right? So how much more when it's going to be one government to govern the whole planet Earth, you know, and more, right? So it says, of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end, right? Now we understand, you know, I got another lesson queued up that Yahushua is bringing eternity with him, okay? In which, you know, Lord will, I'll knock it out later with the brothers, man, all right? But it says, of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David, right? That's why I had this picture, you know, up, you know, just to symbolize the throne, man, you know, just to see, you know, a glimpse into it, right? The throne. You know, you see Jake there with, you know, his wives rejoicing, right? Ain't gonna be a care in the world, all right? But you better believe that these men that are enjoying the kingdom being built will be doing what? Establishing it as well, all right? Beating the heathen in their ass, man, you know? But let's go finish this out. It says, I start from the top, verse 7 again. It says, of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it. All right, let's just, I'm going to read it in the NLT, but I just want to see what this word order says. All right, fast. All right, it says, Strong's H3559, Hun. It say Kun, but, you know, whatever. It says, the firm be stable, to be established, to be set up, fixed, all right. And the second definition, where it says, it says to be directed aright, to be fixed aright, right? It says, I'm just seeing if they have anything in there, right? It also says, in the F definition, to be restored, right? Like the brother said, went into the lesson last night, right? Restoring those judges as at the first, right? But But that's pretty much it. To order, perfect, confirm, direct. All these words are synonymous with each other, with something being ultimately established, right? It says to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord Yahweh of hosts will perform this, right? So you read in the NLT, it says his government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. The passionate commitment of Yahweh, the power of heaven's armies, will make this happen. All right. And that's to show you the theocracy of, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right. When the supreme leader, all right, is righteousness. You see? So let me go to this one in Acts. I had just bookmarked a few. Straight to the point. Oh, fuck. Not do it. 17. Yep, this is Acts chapter 17. And I'll start at verse 30. It says, in the times of this ignorance, the Most High winked at, but now commanded all men everywhere to repent. All right, and that's not talking about, literally talking about all men. It's talking about, all Israelite men. All right, that's scattered across the four corners. Right, now it says, verse 31, because he had appointed a day in which he would judge the world in righteousness by that man whom he had ordained. All right, whereof he had given us assurance unto all men, in that he had raised him from the dead. Right, and we know that man is speaking of who? Yahushua, man. Right, so the Lord Yahweh has established a day, right, where Yahushua is going to come down off the throne, okay, as it says in Wisdom of Solomon 15. All right, I'm gonna have to get it. That's Gunsmoke, right? When he leap off the throne, I just like that precept, right? It's Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 15. It says, thy almighty word leap down from heaven out of thy royal throne. You see? So we understand that Yahushua, he's what? He's already on his throne, sitting at the right hand of the Heavenly Father. But he's coming back to do what? Establish his kingdom, all right? Like the prayer says in Matthew 6, all right? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You see? So he's coming to establish the kingdom of heaven on earth, And that's that's everything that comes with it, okay? But it says, leap down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction. And that's the point I just wanted to get, that he gonna leap, all right, from out of his throne to come establish his earthly throne, right? And that's that day that Yahweh had appointed, for him to judge the world in righteousness, man. All right. It says, whereof he had given assurance unto all men, in that he had raised him from the dead. In the NLT, verse 31, for he has set a day for judging the world with justice by the man he has appointed. And he proved to everyone who this is by raising him from the dead. You see? So we understand that that's his son. All right. He's the heir to the throne of the planet Earth, man. And he's going to govern it. He's going to establish the true theocracy, man. You see? But that was it in that. All right. Let me get this one in Psalms 2 out the way real quick. I got a few more and I'll get out of here. All right. This is Psalms, it's chapter 2 and verse 7. It says, I will declare the decree the Lord Yahweh has said unto me, thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee. Right? Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Right? Now, who are going to be the ones to receive these rewards? Okay? Who are going to be the ones that receive these rewards? Pursuing the 1 Corinthians 2 and 9. Right? I had not heard, neither have they seen the things that the Most High prepared for them that love him. All right? And for all, okay, at the appearing of his coming. roughly paraphrasing, man. Showing you that it's not just for one man, right? Like I said earlier, we're going to be joint heirs with Yahushua, okay? So the name speaks for itself. Israel, Yasha'Allah, princess of the power, all right? So we are the sons of Yahweh too, okay? But we understand that what? We have a big brother, all right? The first of the first, right? It says, verse 9, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, and thou shalt dash them into pieces like a potter's vessel, right? Verse 10, be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth, right? And why is that plural? Why is kings with an S, judges with an S, right? To show you that it's going to be multiple, all right? It's going to be plenteous, of kings, all right, and judges of the earth, man, right? Which is going to be who? The governing body under Yahushua, right? Let me get this one I just thought about real quick. Oh man, bring them hither and slay them before me, right? To show bring them thither. Oh, that ain't it. Bring them and slay them before me. Oh man, where is that? Yep, this is Luke 19 and 27, right? And that's why you have to understand context and you have to understand prophecy, right? Because at one point in time in the New Testament, so-called New Testament, there's red letters written in the book that, Yahushua said, if this was my kingdom, my servants will fight, right? But his servants didn't fight when he last walked the planet Earth, you see? So when you read Luke 19 and 27, you got to understand that this is future prophecy. All right, it says, before those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. All right, and which this is talking about, when the kingdom of heaven is being established. But who are going to be the ones that's bringing, all right, those that wouldn't want, the Yahushua to reign, right? Who are going to be the ones bringing forth to the throne of Yahushua the rebels? All right, and purging them out, man, and slaying them before the Lord, his men, okay, the men that are heralding in his coming, all right, the ambassadors, all right. There's a particular rewards for each man, all right, which is why they are the elect, all right, the chosen ones, you see. But that was it for that. Pull up the Wisdom of Solomon 6. To back up the Psalms. So back in Psalms, it says, Psalms 2 and 10, it says, be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, instructed ye be ye judges of the earth. In the NLT, it says, now then, you kings, act wisely. Be warned, you rulers of the earth, right? And we know that pursuing the Genesis, the first chapter, all right, who were the rulers, all right, the judges of the earth back then, you see? So it goes deep to understand that, the Lord ultimately restoring these judges, as at the first when you go into Isaiah 1 and 26 and 27, man. It's heavy. That's why you have to understand reincarnation, But, hey, except the Lord, sup with you and give it to you, good luck without it. All right? So, this back in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 and verse 1, it says, hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Right now in Psalms, didn't he tell you the uttermost parts of the earth, all right, for thy possession? So it said in Wisdom of Solomon that ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. You see, showing that we are going to rule, all right, or govern the whole world, right, the whole compass, the whole face of the earth, all right, the oikomini. Okay, the whole oikomini, man, all right, which is the inhabited earth, but what's the other ones? Aeon and Cosmos, right? It ain't gonna be no cosmos. It ain't gonna be no age, all right, for aeon, right, which is the Greek words for world, right? It's gonna be the oikoumene, the whole inhabited earth, man. Right, so verse 2 it says, "Give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in a multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, in sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works and search out your counsels. Because, being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged the right, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of the Most High." Right, which is talking about, the wicked ones that's going off, right? But it's telling you in verse 3, for power is given, it's going to be given unto us. All right. Yeah, that was it. I think it's in 18. Yep. I want to drop down to 20, right? Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 20. "Therefore, the desire of wisdom bring into a kingdom. And if your delight be then in thrones and sceptres, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore." All right? Because we understand, so like with those men, right, are going to, have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding built and rooted in them, having those new bodies, the law, statutes, and commandments on our inward parts, right? And so then, by default, we're going to be righteous forevermore and wouldn't know no sin. So ultimately, becoming immortal, right? But I'm ending it off in Revelation chapter 2, right, to back up this word power. All right. This Revelation chapter 2 and verse 25. It says, "Behold, Salaki, but that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh in keeping my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations." You see? "To all who are victorious, who obey me to the very end, to them will I give authority over all nations." You see? So we're going to have that, that same power, all right, through who? Yahweh Shai, right? From doing what? Enduring, doing our jobs, man, as, men of the Lord, prophets and teachers. All right? So let's get this word power. All right. This is G1849 exousia, right? So it says power of choice or liberty of doing as one pleases, right? We don't have the liberty or the power of choice to do as what we please here, right? It says physical or mental power, the ability or strength which one is endued, which he possesses or either exercises. The power of authority, influence, and of right privilege. Verse chapter, the fourth definition, the power of rule or government. The power of him whose will and commands must be submitted to by others and obeyed. You see? Authority over mankind. The power of judicial decisions. Of authority to manage domestic affairs, man. You see? These are this the power that's coming to the elect men. All right? The judges of the earth, the kings of the rightful kings of the earth, man. You see? And it covers all angles, right? It's not a angle that it don't cover, man. To rule over domestic affairs, what you say goes, right? This is the theocracy that Yahweh Shai is coming to set up, man. All right? After what? Righteousness, But that's pretty much the point of this lesson, So with that, go ahead, give all praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Hakwadash, and double honors once again to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And Shalom, Rabbi Rakim, Shalom.